Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to do something a little different than I normally do. I normally do all my reloading to relax. Today I've actually got some food in front of me, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the health benefits and fitness value of eating wild game. Different topic, I know not many people are going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about it. Now, I've got a bunch of people here who are like, you need to do this video, that video, whatever drama's going on, and they're coming in, spamming. I'm going to keep banning you guys because you guys know the rule. You know that you get 2 informative videos every day before we even consider addressing drama, trolling current events. And if you can't respect the rules of the channel, I don't care how big of a fan you are, you gotta go. All right, you don't dictate to me when I make videos. You guys know the rules. Informative first. So what I've got here is actually venison pasta. This is whole wheat pasta, and I've got ground venison that I cooked separately and kind of diced up a little bit because I cooked it yesterday. And I'm going to get to that in a minute as to why I put this one in a pasta. And it has to do with the fact that this particular deer was way too gamey. It was a buck. He's way too gamey. I don't care for really, really gamey meat just straight. I need to mix it with other stuff in a chili and a pasta, something like that. And as you guys are used to seeing me eat on camera, it's a little weird for me too. But the benefits of wild game. All right. Some of the biggest benefits are going to be that the meat itself is oftentimes healthier than factory farmed meat. Well, wild animals that are out in the wild on their normal diet tend to be much leaner than other animals. You're very, very rarely going to find an obese animal. Most of the animals that we're eating that are factory farmed are obese. They're way too fat. They've been fed out on a lot of grains and everything. And if you guys know, a lot of mammals, not humans, but a lot of mammals and other animals we eat, they store carbohydrates as fat really, really easy. Cows are a perfect example. So are pigs. So you grain feed them to fatten them up. Well, what it tends to do, that changes the ratios in their fat. It gives them a higher content of saturated fat. Not only does it make them fatter, you can increase the amount of fat sometimes tenfold in an animal, which, just like a human. Most animals out in the wild are probably no more than 10% body fat. They're very lean. There's very little marbling in their meat. And it's because they don't overeat. They're very physically active. They have to be to survive. They don't get a lot of excess calories. They just don't tend to be fat. We fatten them up. But what happens when we fatten them up, we remove the omega-3s from their diet on all the grains and everything. A lot of these animals eat a lot of grass, other stuff that's very high in omega-3 content. So what happens is that we lower the omega-3 content of these animals when we grain feed them out, and we raise their saturated fat levels and their total fat levels. Wild game tends to be much, much leaner, and per gram of fat, it tends to have more omega-3 fats and less saturated fat for every gram of fat that you have, which makes it largely beneficial. Now, a lot of people say, well, also, they're not pumped full of all these hormones. Well, neither are most of the animals you eat either. Cows, yes, but if you live in the United States, and I can't speak to other countries, poultry and pork don't have added hormones. People say, what? They don't have added hormones. It's a federal felony to give them hormones. They don't put growth hormone. They don't put steroids in pigs, chickens, turkeys, things like that. It's completely illegal in the United States. You can't do that. Cows are a different story. Much bigger animal. So the laws are a little different there because there's more tradition as far as that goes, and the beef industry uses a lot of hormones. Most meats, though, in the United States outside of cattle, the odds that you're getting hormone-enhanced meat is actually pretty low unless they chose to break the law, in which case they're going to get a lot of trouble if they get caught. But the overall living conditions are better for animals in the wild. They're just simply going to tend to be a little healthier. The fat content, though, is the biggest difference. And that actually is a really, really big deal. It is a big deal. So you've got that to consider, the fact that you've got really lean meats with a better overall lipid profile if you're eating wild game. The other thing has to do with people's personal ethics. People say, what do you mean? That's horrible. People are out shooting this wild game. No, they're usually very humanely killed. In fact, if you're hunting your own animals, you're essentially hunting an animal that is very likely to die by a predator in the wild. It's not like you're really having a very large impact. It's not like people are allowed to overhunt these animals. A lot of this, about the same amount that get hunted by people are actually killed by wild predators. Other than if you kill them, they tend to die in a much more humane way. Most skilled hunters pride themselves in humane kills, putting an animal down quickly and as painlessly as possible. And you have control of that situation if you're the hunter, or if you're getting wild game from a hunter that you know personally, you know their personal ethics. You know that you're eating an animal that probably had a nice, free, happy life right up until that point. A lot of factory farmed animals, not so much. And you have an animal that hasn't always had as nice of a life. And if you're worried about the ethics of factory farming, wild game gives you an alternative. Also, I mean, you can do free range stuff, but check and see what the free range really is like, because just because it's free range legally might not be your idea of free range. But if you're concerned with the ethics of your meat, it's a lot more ethical of a choice overall. And again, you're getting an animal that's much, much leaner. Now, one of the downsides is going to be taste. Most people, even who like wild game, are going to find certain animals they don't like. And it's unfortunate that I'm here in Texas, and I've been a hunter for originally since I was a little child. Originally grew up in the country in Texas. That's no surprise. Anyone who finds out where I was born, where I grew up originally, it's pretty obvious. I'm originally a country boy. So no big surprise there, no big shocker. But in Texas, unfortunately, deer and wild boar are the only animals we have. I don't like the wild boar, and as far as deer go, I can eat the males, but I prefer does. This particular one I'm eating here happens to be a male. The downside of that, it's very gamey. It's a very strong taste. Me personally, I don't care for that a lot. Now, how the animal's processed makes a big difference. How soon it's drained of all its blood, how soon you got it cool. All of that makes a big difference, but also the process that it goes through makes a big difference too. And so you might find for some people, some animals, some wild game is a lot gamier than others. And if you happen to get that, I don't believe in wasting meat. So I have this venison. I'm not particularly wild about this particular deer. So what I'm doing is mixing it into other foods. And I mean, you can make this a very healthy dish. Something like this. You handle a lot of the taste this way. The gaminess gets broken down a lot because I cooked it into a pasta sauce and then I put it in whole wheat pasta. This is an extremely low fat, high protein, high fiber meal. You can go ahead and not waste the meat if you don't particularly care for that given animal, the taste of that particular animal, even that species, whatever, but you already have the meat. It's been killed. Either you've killed it, someone else has. If you don't want it to go to waste, and I'm a big believer in not wasting meat, it's something I believe in strongly, is that if an animal is going to be killed like this, and it's something that you're not killing because it's a nuisance animal or a dangerous animal, but it's something that's being hunted as a food animal, then you need to make sure that it gets eaten, unless it's spoiled or gone bad. In this case, you can season it enough if you don't care for that particular one that you can get it passable. You can get it to where you can eat it and then it doesn't go to waste. But as far as that goes, if you try different animals, different game animals, you'll probably find some of them taste a lot better to you than others. Like I would say elk, bison, and pheasant are probably the best game animals I've ever had. I've only killed one elk in my life. He was delicious. Absolutely loved it. It's amazing meat. Antelope is pretty amazing too, although I've only got to try it one time. Something I probably will go hunt more of in the future so that I can get more of it. But it's a little bit of trouble to get to them where I'm at. They're very small. You don't get a lot of meat off of them. But they're a fantastic choice. And usually most people, when you have them try different game meats, I would say the majority of people are going to say elk or antelope taste the best. If you're normally like a beef eater or whatever from a city, you're probably going to enjoy those the most. So experiment around with it, guys. And remember, wild game is absolutely part of a healthy diet. It's part of a fit lifestyle. If you do happen to take up hunting, it's a wonderful outdoors physical activity. All right, it's a good form of exercise itself. It gets you out in the woods, gets you some fresh air. Something that a lot of people don't get enough of, you know. And I mean, even being out in the woods in the fresh air and walking around doing things is actually quite an antidepressant, and that's good for your health and fitness. But overall, I recommend if any of you have never eaten wild game of any type, give it a try. And if you don't like the first one you try a couple different ones. And some of them grow on you, some of them you might not like, some of them you'll learn to like, others you just may never like. But some of them are going to be delicious to you. I promise you, if you try a few different ones, you're going to find one eventually that you love, and maybe prepared a certain way, you're going to love it. But remember, wild game is generally much leaner than the animals you're buying at the store, the meat you're buying at the store. You can ensure that it was humanely killed, that it had a good life up till that point. Remember, the fat ratios tend to be better, tends to be higher in omega-3, lower in saturated fat. So overall, it's a very, very healthy choice. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.